Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new Gentek PC product showcase. Today we're going to be doing the full-length featured review video for the new Aorus X7 DT V6. So we'll go ahead and start things off with our unboxing. A quick spoiler alert so you know what you're looking at here. This is going to be a gaming laptop. It's a 17-inch form factor laptop with a 3K screen, and the highlight is that it's using the desktop version of the NVidia GTX 1080 with a full 8 GB of GDDR5 video card RAM. So as we move along with the unboxing, you can see that we do have a double box container. The outside box for shipping purposes, and the inside box has our product. Nothing too flashy here. A lot of times you might find an interior box with a lot of artwork and logos just to help hype up and sell the product, but Aorus doesn't really believe in doing that. It's a simple box. And it's actually more or less a triple box technique if you really think about it. The way they do it is then they have this third box which has the foam inserts on the corners. That's what actually has our laptop and everything else inside of it. So everything's pretty low profile, not too flashy. Once we get that last interior box open, we can get to our laptop, which is right on top. Over to the right hand side underneath of the laptop is where we're going to have our compartment with the AC to DC adapter and of course our cable for charging it. Quick specs on that. Alright, digging into the rest of the box, we have a little pouch that has our warranty information and product information. And then here's our optional laptop feet if you'd like to prop the laptop up. And our last item here is going to be a small USB thumb drive. This is a good way to go ahead and keep all of your system drivers downloaded and ready to use. Alright, so let's unveil the laptop. We'll take off that protective cloth. We can see we have a nice stealthy matte block with the Aorus logo on it. Very thin profile for having a desktop GPU in it. The oversized cleaning cloth between the keyboard and screen. You can hold on to that for cleaning everything up when you use it. And let's go ahead and move on. Alright, let's go ahead and weigh in on things here. We can see our laptop is at 7 pounds and 2 ounces as far as the weight of the laptop itself. Of course, you're going to travel with your power adapter most of the time, so let's throw that in. The full carry weight with the power adapter and all is going to be 9 pounds and 2 ounces. Alright, so now we're going to start moving into the product tour and get into the specifications, details, all the hardware and features. We'll start things off with our BIOS. Now there's not a whole lot to do in the BIOS, we're just flipping through the different tabs so you can see what options you do have available to you. And that about sums it up as far as the BIOS, so let's go ahead and continue on with more of our review. Alright, it's time to get some measurements now. Of course, we got some coins up here for scale. With our tape measure, you can see that the rear of the laptop is just about 1.25 inches as far as total height. Near the front, it's actually a lot shorter than that. It's under 1 inch, much closer to 3/4 of an inch. So it's a very thin profile laptop. And then, of course, is that 17-inch form factor as far as the diagonal. Now let's go ahead and test the boot time. We're running off of SSDs, so this is a full cold boot. We'll see how long it takes to get into the operating system. It comes default with Windows 10. And we're going to clock in about 18 to 19 seconds as far as how long it took to get from full boot to the desktop. Alright, so we've got the operating system loaded up. We'll take a closer look now at everything in the front. As you can see, we have a new multicolored RGB backlit keyboard here. Some of the former models only had that solid white color, so now you get to embrace the multicolor fun. We have our gaming macro keys on the left hand side. We can program those through software. Low profile chiclet style keys. Got our oversized touchpad with the integrated left and right click buttons. Go ahead and start taking a tour of all of our interfaces. We'll start on the right hand side. We have an SD card slot, a USB 3.0 slot, the brand new USB Type-C slot. We have our HDMI out, and of course our mini display port. Moving around to the rear of the unit, we have a power port in the center for charging and running off of main power, and a single USB slot in the back, which is of course the blue color USB 3. And over to our last side, we've got our Kingston lock port hiding away in the back, the RJ45 for our local network and connectivity, another HDMI output. Then we have another USB 3, two 3.5mm audio connections, one for a pair of headphones and one for a microphone. And that's pretty much going to cover all of the different sides as far as your interfaces and connectivity. Let's go ahead and move into the operating system and take a look at some of that specialized software. Alright, so here we are, the Aorus Fusion software. As you can see right now, we have it pulled up and we can change the keyboard color layout. There's a lot of different presets you can choose from here as far as patterns and animations. And of course you can go in and tweak these a little bit further if you'd like to really customize the colors and get it to exactly what you want. Another piece of preloaded software is going to be the XSplit Gamecaster software. Of course, this is intended to be a gaming laptop. It doesn't have to be. And so it comes preloaded with the software you might want to use to live stream all of your video games. Right behind that we have our device manager pulled up, so this is a great way to look at all of our internal hardware. Of course, that NVidia GTX 1080, the desktop version. We have Killer for both the wired and wireless networking, the Intel Core i7 Skylake CPU, the 6820HK, which is an unlocked overclockable CPU. And of course, once we get into our disassembly later on, we'll show you some more cool things about this laptop's hardware. As far as the monitor ID, you can take a look at that on Google. It is what they consider a 3K resolution with 2560 by 1440 as far as the resolution, and it has a 120 Hz refresh rate. Alright, and while we're in the control panel area, the last thing we're going to show you is that we are running an NVIDIA GPU, and so that does give us the G-Sync technology as an option. That's really good for taking care of any of that screen tearing you might see sometimes when playing video games. Alright, so now we're moving along with our review and we're getting into the benchmark sections. We're going to start things off with our sound levels benchmark. So we just have a sound meter here and we're going to test how much noise does the system make with the exhaust as far as cooling itself down. Of course, the best way to use these numbers to any kind of meaning is to look at other reviews we've already done with similar laptops and see if the numbers here are higher or lower, so you get a general idea, is this a quiet laptop or a loud laptop. Alright, and the next thing we're going to look at is not a new benchmark, but it's done in a new way. We now have a thermal camera and we can view how the temperatures are looking on this laptop in real time. So what we're looking for here is that we want to see temperatures high in our exhaust areas but low in the areas of the computer where you would be touching it with your hands. That can make for some very uncomfortable computing when your palms start to sweat. Just a little bit more information on our C drive, which is using SSDs. Here is the read and write speeds from Crystal Diskmark. And we're moving into our final round of testing. We have our gaming benchmark starting to run. And so while we're running those, we're going to come back to the sound test and see how much the sound levels have gone up now that the computer is under a load. And you can see they definitely have gone up quite a bit here. Again, the tests, they have to be compared one to the other. This is a worst case scenario where we have a sound meter right next to the exhaust in a completely quiet room. What you hear here wouldn't be what you would hear in any kind of room with ambient noise. We have completed 3D Mark 11 and we've got our score. It's a performance score of 18,073. Very respectable score. Here's the GPU-Z information on the NVIDIA GTX 1080. Over on the left-hand side, we are keeping track of all of our measurements of temperature during that test. You can see the maximum temperature on the CPU was low 70s. Down below, we get to the video card temperatures, and it was mid 70s. So those temperatures stayed well within reason. Now as we bounce back to our thermal benchmark again, this time we're doing the thermal test under load, running our next benchmark. And you can see definitely the system is working harder and our temperatures have gone up. But what's important is all those interface areas where you'll be using it, your hands, those temperatures are not high and that will not be an uncomfortable laptop to use. As you can see with our thermal camera, all the heat is coming out right out of these exhaust ports, which is exactly what you want to see happen. It means the system is properly getting rid of all that hot air, getting rid of all that heat from the equipment, and moving it out the back. And our thermal test in the benchmark we just did also showed that that was working really well. Alright, the next performance test has finished. Firestrike came in with a score of 14,449. Again, re-verifying our GPU-Z specs on our video card, showing that nothing's changed. And going back to our temperature test, our CPU was right in line with what it was before, and the GPU as well, so very consistent temperatures. Nothing managed to get up any higher than it was before. A quick test of our speaker system. Of course, that was covering the levels of our speakers, so we can see how loud those get. And now we're going to move into our final review segment. Alright, just like we normally do with our full-length featured reviews, there is a disassembly of the unit here at the end. That way we can show you what kind of hardware you have access to as far as user upgrades and just overall how is the machine built. So to get this apart, we had to go around the entire perimeter and take all of those screws out. So here's the number of screws that we removed, and you can see they are different lengths. So be sure to keep track of them so you don't put them back in the wrong place. With all of those removed, you can just remove the entire bottom panel. You can see all of that ventilation that was available down there in a first look. So we have right in front of us the large internal battery. Next to it is going to be our 2.5-inch mechanical storage device, which is our mass storage. Alright, so just above our hard drive, you'll see one of the system speakers here. We do have a matching speaker on the opposite side, so that gives us 2 speakers at the bottom. That entire center area is dedicated to system RAM slots. We have 4 of them in total, 16 gigabyte SODIMMs in 2 of them, so 32 gigabytes of RAM out of the door, but it can be upgraded to a full 64 gigabytes. Now up above our system RAM slots, there's going to be our cooling solution, with our 2 cooling fans and all of the heat pipes that connect those to the CPU and GPU. Alright, and we'll go ahead and take that cooling solution off so we can see what's underneath of it. Combination of thermal pads and thermal paste as far as getting that connected to the motherboard. And here we have our GPU and our CPU. Now, as far as other user upgrades, you do have a couple of options. We have an M2 slot taken over here. This is the PCI Express interface. Just next to it is a second slot that is not taken, so you can add a second SSD there. Quick look at our wireless card from Killer right there. And over to the right hand side, over here by where our system RAM is, we have a M2 slot that uses the SATA interface. So this one does not have the PCI Express on that slot, but you could put a SATA SSD in there. And that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, does conclude our full-length featured review for the Aorus X7 DT V6. We hope that you enjoyed the video, found it both entertaining and educational. Of course, if you're interested in this product and you'd like to learn a little bit more about it, then go to our website, gentechpc.com, and go to the product page for this, and we have all the product specifications and the current pricing and availability there for you. Of course, if you have any questions about it that the video did not answer, then feel free to ask those down in the comment section on the video. Or if you need more one-on-one help, then feel free to contact us by phone or email, and we'll be happy to help you out. So we just want to remind everybody that once again, this was Gen Tech PC, and we'll see you next time.